Okay, so today's lesson, problem set 30, is going to be covering algebraic phrases. So we have talked about these phrases before, and if you're on page 125, go ahead and get there. Okay, so I am on my 5th video today, guys. I am tired. Hopefully my voice doesn't run out, but I'm going to kneel so you can see better. So the phrases. The sum of a number and 7. So we have to remember that we have to read the words and change the words to symbols and numbers. So when you read the sum of a number, remember that I told you start with what sum means, which is plus, and then write down 2 lines that show me what I'm adding. So I'm going to be adding 2 addends. So the sum of a number and 7, the first addend is n, the second one is 7. So this reads sum of a number and 7. Okay, on the next one, 7 less than a number. Well, less than means subtraction, and we know we're going to have 2 lines. Now this is where you need to be careful. Anytime the phrase reads less than or more than, you always start on the right side and go to your left. So it says the 7 less than a number. So you're going to say 7 less than number. 7 less than number. Okay, if you wanted to say 7 more than a number, you would do 2 lines, and you would say 7 more than number. Think of it this way. If you have 7 more than, let's say you have $7 more than Ricky, okay? So you would have, let's say you have 10, I'm sorry, Ricky has 10, and you have 7 more than that. So you're going to do 10 plus 7. You wouldn't do 7 plus 10. Now we know that with addition it doesn't matter because they're commutative, but with subtraction they are not, and it's important to remember to go backwards when it says less than. So it's just it's a good habit to do it for all of the more thans and less than so you don't get confused. Okay, the opposite of a number. So anytime something is the opposite of a number, you write down number, n for number, and then you're going to write down, let me get a better marker here, guys. Okay, so we're going to say number is n, and then opposite is always negative. Okay, so the opposite of a number and -5. So in this one, we want to use the word and as plus, okay, and -5. Now we know that this is going to be equal to negative. So you can simply write -n, -5, and that's the same thing, okay? Then you have the product of twice a number and 8. This is where we need to start taking our time. We know that product means multiply, so we're going to have 2 lines, one for each factor. We have to go back and figure out what are our factors. Okay, the product of what? The first thing it says is twice a number. Twice, so here's number. Twice a number would be 2n. Thrice a number, 3n, and so forth. And then it says and -5. So -5 would be there. So you can write it 2n times -5. Another way of writing that, let me see, product of twice a number, I'm sorry, it would be -8. I don't know where I got the 5 from. Okay, so twice a number and -8. So you can actually write this a couple of ways. This is awkward. We don't typically see a letter n with a x because it looks like 2 variables. So you could say twice the number and -n with parentheses. That's probably a better way of writing that. And actually it doesn't say the opposite either. I totally messed that problem up. Let me go back and read that again. The product with twice the number and 8. So it just said 8, it didn't say opposite. So twice the number and 8, you would write it like that. Okay, now let me get into a couple more of the more difficult ones. So I'm on page 125, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm on the 7th phrase on page 125, okay? Now this is where it's going to start requiring you to really think about what it's asking. This one reads 5 times the sum of twice a number and -5. Read it slowly left to right. The first thing it says is 5 times the sum. So we know that multiplication means this, and we know we need 2 lines for multiplication, so times and 2 lines. But then what are we multiplying? It says we're multiplying the sum. So actually we're going to say 5 times the sum. These lines have to change to 2. So 5 times the sum, 5 times would require 2 lines, but I'm multiplying times the sum. Now, here's the thing. Because I'm multiplying by the sum, that means I have to put this in parentheses because I'm multiplying by everything in here. In other words, both of these numbers. Without the parentheses, I would only be multiplying by the first number, and it doesn't say that. It says to multiply the sum. So you need the parentheses. And we know that whenever a number next to a parentheses is written, we do not need an X because a number next to a parentheses means multiply. So your outline, if you will, or your shell would look like this. Okay? That one reads 5 times the sum of a number and negative 5. And we can change this to negative, so this would be 5 parentheses n minus 5. If you write it like this, it's going to be wrong because you're only multiplying the 5 in the end, but not the negative 5. This is 5n minus 5 would be negative 25. So you have to be careful, okay? So 5 times the number and negative 5 would be written that way. Now, the next one after that is even a little bit more complicated, so let's look at it. The next one reads 6 times the sum 6 times the 6 times the sum of twice the opposite of a number and negative 8. That is a mouthful. So we have a lot of things going on. So we already found out that when we want to say, when we want to multiply something times its sum, we have to start like this. So I know I'm going to begin like that. This is a number times a sum. So that's what you want to start with. Then it says, excuse me, 6 times the sum, so 6, okay, times the sum of twice the opposite of the number, twice the opposite of the number, okay. You don't want to put it like this, 2 negative n, or you don't want to do 2 times negative n because now you have 2 letters, so that's weird. So you would say twice the opposite of number in the parentheses, okay, and then it says and negative 8, so negative 8 would be there. Now, another way to clean this up so it's not awkward is to say 6 negative 2n minus 8. It's still the same thing, we're just putting the negative in front of the coefficient, okay? So those would be the exact same type of problem. Okay, I think that covers all the scenarios on the algebraic phrases. The rest of the problem set has to do with decimal numbers, and the only thing I would remind you is that when you are solving for a decimal number and you want to divide by the decimal, please be sure to change the decimal to a whole number. So as a quick example, number 30.1 says 0.32 of what number is 24.1? So 0.32 of what number is 24.32? So we're solving for this one. We have to divide by the 0.32, divide by 0.32. That means we have to move the decimal. And we're going to have Wn equals 2,432 over 32. Reduce this before you divide it, guys. If you reduce it, that'll make your math a lot easier. I'm not going to do it right now because it would take too much more time, and I'm sure that the algebraic phrases already hurt your brain. So if you have questions, let me know, guys. Take care.